Robin from Corner Ballet here, and today we are talking about foot positions for pre-ballet students. So of course we know we have first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth position. Some people call sixth position parallel, and some people call it feet together. I personally call it feet together for pre-ballet students, so that's what I'm going to refer to it as in this video. To remind us all, we have the positions of first, third, and fifth. These are Fermee positions, that means closed, so the legs are touching one another. And then the positions of second and fourth, these are Ouverte positions, that means open, so the legs are not touching one another. And the reason I bring those up is not because we're going to explain that to our pre-ballet students, but it's so that we can remember that when the legs are Fermee, when they are closed, we want, so in first, third, and fifth, we want to be sure that we teach those, really focusing the dancers on understanding that it's the legs that are making these positions, not necessarily the feet, even though they're called foot positions. So, for instance, if you're teaching third position to your pre-ballet students, they might look down at their feet and see, oh, my feet are in third position, but maybe that front knee is sagging and there's space between the knees. This happens often, right? So we want to be sure that they understand, no, this is a closed position. We want to keep those legs closed and touching. And then the Ouverte positions, the open positions, we want to be sure they have a good idea of how far apart the legs should be spaced, both in second and fourth position. A really good way to teach that is to use foot charts like on the floor. Of course, everyone's body is shaped differently. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but generally speaking, foot charts are a really good way to give them a general idea of how far apart their legs should be. Because, you know, those little ones, you tell them to put their feet apart and suddenly, you know, they're going into the full splits on the floor. And that's not what we're after, right? So give them a good idea, teach them how to understand what is the correct distance for their legs to be apart. I want to say a couple of more things just generally about foot positions. The first thing is that we want to teach these positions in isolation. So you wouldn't want to be introducing first position to your dancers and also be introducing tendu from first position to your dancers. You want to first be sure they learn first position. Example, maybe they start with their feet together and then they open their feet to first position. Their legs, they open their legs to second position or first position, and then they close back to feet together. And that's the end of the exercise. They do that a few times. Feet together, first position, feet together, first position, feet together, the end. And you make sure that's really in place, that they understand how to move between the two positions, that when they open their legs to first position, their body doesn't crumble, their hips aren't twisting about, that their legs are opening evenly to first position. You really get that in place. And then we build, right? So we don't move from positions until we know that our dancers have a solid understanding of how to get into that position and stand in that position. And then the other really important thing is the turnout that we expect them to have. This is very, very key. As a dancer yourself, you might have this beautiful turnout, and it might be very natural for you to stand with all of that turnout, but your little students, they're going to want their feet to match yours. And so if you're standing there with all your gorgeous turnout, they're going to crank their feet back to try to match you. So you really want to keep yourself in check and pull your turnout in. I mean, with the little ones, we're talking like just a little bit of turnout, right? Like 30 degrees maybe. And then as they get older, like 7, 8, maybe they open up a little bit more to 45 degrees, but that is it. We do not, in these levels, it is not about the dancers dancing with as much turnout as they personally have, or standing with a lot of turnout. It is not about that at all. It's really just about introducing the concept to them and making sure that that they can stand with their legs with a little bit of turnout while everything else doesn't crumble and twist all about. So there is that. Okay, let's move on and go through the different levels. So with the 3 and 4-year-olds, they're going to just learn feet together, first position, and second position. They will not learn any of the other positions. Those are the only 3 positions they will learn, and they will only move from feet together. So you're not going to have them in first position doing pliés or tendus or any of that. We're going to keep them in the parallel line so that they build a solid foundation of coordination, both sides of their body moving together and being balanced, all of those things. Remember, they're still super little, and so we don't need to have them moving with turnout. They're just not ready for that. So keep everything in the parallel line, but they can learn those 3-foot positions. And then with the 5 and 6-year-olds, it's very similar to the 3s and 4s. They do feet together, first position, second position, but you can add third position into the mix. They will still only dance from feet together, but you can teach them third position. And when you teach them that third position, do be sure that, for instance, if they're standing in first position and you're introducing third position to them, so you have them all in first position and you have them move that right leg over to third position, do be certain that they understand that that right side of their body shouldn't twist, right? Everything needs to stay completely to the front. And then, of course, you want to be absolutely certain to practice that third position with the left foot as well. So maybe an exercise would be they begin in first position. Right leg moves to third position. Right leg moves back to first position, second side. And that's the whole combination. It's plenty to think about, right? I realize that seems so simple and like that's not challenging to them at all. But it is challenging because you really want to make sure that it's done well, that things aren't twisting, that things aren't crumbling, that their legs are touching one another, that front knee's not sagging anywhere, all of those things. Then we move up into the 7 and 8-year-olds, and they should learn all of the positions. Do be careful as you go into 4th position. So if you're teaching them all the positions, first, second, third, and then they're going to move to 4th, do be sure that they do 4th position opposite 3rd position, not opposite 5th. You could even have them do it opposite 1st if you want, so the legs are even like more open, not all the way across. But we don't want them to do 4th position from opposite 5th position. It's too much strain on their hips and their knees to cross their legs that much and go into 4th position. 4th position is just a pretty extreme position. So while we do want them to learn it, we don't want to push it too far. And then as far as what they move from, the positions they move from, they will move from feet together still quite a lot, and they will move from first position. Now, if you have a pretty advanced group, you could do some things from 3rd position, like perhaps you could do some little supersos from 3rd position to be sure they learn plie first before you take them into the supersos. But mostly they're just going to be moving from feet together and first position. This sets them up really well to move up into the next level, that Ballet 1 level, where they will be moving a lot from 3rd position. You know, I just want to restate that there is no need to go quickly in these little pre-ballet levels. There is just no need. The slower you go, the more specific you are, the more attainable the goals are, the better it's going to be for everyone. So let's do very simple exercises to get these building blocks really strong and solid.